Patriots putting up a fight in Pittsburgh. New England holding off the Steelers 21-18. The Patriots move on to 3-10 at Acrisure Stadium. Welcome in a post-game live. Michael Holley, Tommy Curran, Ted Johnson, Amina Smith here with you. Matt Cassel to join us in a few. The Patriots putting up more than a touchdown in a game. Michael Holley still in shock that the Patriots put up 21 points tonight against the Steelers. Curran, I'll start with you. What did the Patriots put on display for the rest of the country during Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, I think you end up with more of a what does it mean question that you're trying to answer here. So what does it mean? It means that they are professionals. It means that they have not bought into any kind of tank conversation, which we didn't think that they would. And it does show that Bailey Zappi, given time, given protection, given some poise and swagger, which he was bringing that Matt Jones certainly wasn't, can perform for them. Now, the second half, we saw protection breakdowns, but what does it mean in the long term? Does it wipe out losses to the Colts and to the Raiders and to the Saints and to the Cowboys and to the Commanders? No, but it does change the December conversation just a little bit, and it might have at least a pause on the eject lever. Could it be a pause on the eject lever?
Are you hitting pause right now, Holley, after what you saw tonight?
I'm not hitting pause, but I will say this. Like last week, they scored 0 points against the LA Chargers, and I said they had competitive spirit and they had fight. They just didn't make any plays, enough plays to win that game. Tonight, they took their competitive spirit, they took their fight, good quarterback play. How many times have we said that this year? And playmaking. I mean, Hunter Henry made 2 big-time plays, especially the second touchdown from Hunter Henry. Great pass from Bailey Zappi to Henry, getting into the end zone just over the defender. But Zeke Elliott looked like he had some life tonight. When the game started to get tight in the fourth quarter, we've seen the Patriots, Ted, crater so many times in these situations. Not that they were extremely intelligent, but Pittsburgh was dumb. Pittsburgh played dumb football tonight. Pittsburgh did what the Patriots have done most of the season. So it was interesting to see finally another team just kind of give the game up when the game was winnable. The Patriots took advantage.
Yeah, they did. So, look, it's a good win. I mean, you went up against a comparable opponent that kind of gave you the game a little bit. I mean, that 4th and 2 is questionable. Why not go for it there? I will say this, Zeke Elliott, a hell of a game. Tom, you and I were talking before the game. We had, 29 touches. Not very good running the ball, but tough yards that he had to run on the ground were very, very tough, and a lot of great catches out of the backfield. But he saved the game to some degree, because that interception off that tip ball, he's the one that tackled Walker, number 38 for the Steelers, to keep it from being a touchdown. And then that's what kept some points off the board and afforded the Patriots to win this game. Look, this game will, tap down the fervor when it comes to the future of Bill Belichick for just a little bit. But at the end of the day, it just didn't answer any big picture questions, or I would say. But I will say this: the quarterback play noticeably better, and it really isn't that surprising that the Patriots had their biggest gains of the season in this game. Because I thought Bailey Zappi last week, even though he completed one of the passes that were downfield of 25 yards or more last week, he was accurate with those balls. Those were catchable balls. And so he threw some nice balls in that first half. And it looked like, they were just kind of opening up the offense a little bit for him in that first half.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Maybe Zappi going out there, they looked like they had a little bit different game plan for him than maybe, when they had Mac Jones in there.
Let's bring in Matt Cassel right now. And Matt, we talked about Bill O'Brien in the pregame show and how this offense looked a little bit more, just open in this game, to say the least. What did you see from this Bill O'Brien offense in this win?
Yeah, I liked his approach. I think it was aggressive. He came out throwing the football. A lot of stuff early on is getting the ball out in the flat, free release, the halfback out of the backfield. You saw Ezekiel Elliott have a great night tonight in terms of receiving, not so much in running, but like you guys mentioned, he ran the ball hard. But in addition to that, they pushed the ball down the field. They had the big play to Juju Smith-Schuster. They had the catch and run to Juju Smith-Schuster when they were in the red zone, the third down play where Bailey Zappi hit Hunter Henry in the back of the end zone. And then in addition to that, the other touchdown, the third touchdown to go up 21-3 at that point, was another aggressive call, pump fake on the slip screen, trying to take a shot down the field. So once again, they did open up the offense tonight. Bailey Zappi made great decisions throughout the first half. Now in the second half, you saw some of those things creep up. You saw the interception where he forced it into some coverage right there. And then also later on in that half, you also saw one that he put the ball in the Steelers' hands that they weren't able to come up with. So there's some things that you got to work on. But at the end of the day, Bailey Zappi was very impressive, and it was great to see this team kind of come together and get a win on the road.
How traceable, Mac, is Bailey Zappi's performance to the first half protection? Outstanding job on the edge rushers by both tackles, Onwenu and Connor McDermott. And it looked like he just had more time, and it's easy to open up. I think that the Patriots did try on occasion to open it up with Mac Jones in different times, and he just didn't have the time to do it. You saw the protections the Patriots have been kind of affording Mac Jones a little bit in the second half when Pittsburgh started to eat a little bit on defense. But, I don't know if this was a radically different offense or if it was a radically different level of protection. Matt,
100%. When you look at you're dead on. When you look at some of the protection issues that they've had throughout the course of the season, you don't have time to drop back, or you don't have time to get through a progression, go 1 to 2 to 3, because guys are bearing down on you. You have that sense of urgency. You got to get the ball out, and you have to give credit to this offensive line tonight, because throughout the majority of this game, he had good protection. I was worried coming in this game with Hightower, and then you also had obviously T.J. Watt on the other side, that edge protection. But for the most part, they held up. They were able to give him and move those guys up the pocket to allow Bailey to step up in the pocket, which was huge for them, and give him time to process, go through his reads, and make the correct decision.
And Bailey Zappi, 19 of 28, 240 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 pick out there. Ted, how much did Bailey Zappi's performance maybe energize the rest of the offense as well?
Oh, I think so. Definitely. Just the energy that he brings, Matt can tell you, I think just it's a different voice in that huddle. You saw him kind of tapping guys on the helmet. The guy does not lack confidence, clearly. And so guys feed off of confidence. I don't care. If you're a confident guy and you're at this level, you know what? Guys feel pretty good with you being out there. And so his confidence is going to permeate throughout the entire team. And I thought it did for the defense, and I think it did for the offense as well. No Devontae Parker tonight. No Demario Douglas tonight. Hunter Henry, that's supposed to be Mac Jones' guy. That's not supposed to be Bailey Zappi's guy. And that's who Bailey Zappi was going to. Devontae Parker is supposed to be his guy, and he didn't even play in this game. So for Hunter Henry and Zappi to get on the same page, I thought was pretty impressive. And those were dimes that he threw in the back of the end zone. And let's face it, in the second half, I hear you, Matt. There was a much more conservative approach. The Patriots, and that was I guarantee you, that's where Bill Belichick did his influence on Bill O'Brien. He said, hey, let's throttle it down a bit. Let's just squat on our lead and bleed them dry. And they got lucky to get out of here because they didn't get a point in the second half because of the production they got in that first half.
I think also the play. I was going to say I think also the play calling changed a little bit because they had some negative plays. They had a tackle for loss early on. It sets you up in 2nd and long. They had a penalty on one of those drives as well. They had the interception, so they didn't have as many opportunities to go take that. But I'm in total agreement with you. When you got to the fourth quarter, they said, "Hey, let's let the defense take control. These guys have been playing great all day long, and let's be conservative with our approach."
Yeah, it's funny, too, when you look at those second half drives, because we know how the conversation's going to go tomorrow. Is Bailey Zappi better than Mac? Why didn't Zappi get in there before Mac? And there's absolutely merit to that conversation when you have a guy who goes out and throws for, 200 in the first half with 3 touchdowns. 2 are absolutely perfect throws. And he looks the way he does. When you talk, Matt, about stepping up in the pocket, that's something that Mac was the antithesis of doing. Even when he had room to step up, he wasn't stepping up. He was getting sucked backwards. It was bizarre to watch. His ass was heading towards his own goal line like there was a giant magnet pulling him. So to see that from Bailey Zappi shows you he's playing differently than Mac did. But if you do look at the second half, their drives there were 7 of them, 4 plays, 4 plays, 3 plays, 5 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays. Punt, interception, punt, 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 punt. Game definitely entered into it. But I think the conversation as we have it tomorrow is, did the Patriots play better on Thursday night because Bailey Zappi is either the answer, a more than capable backup, Mac sucks, or did they perform better around him? And in the second half, they reverted to kind of what they've been.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out what taste you walk out of this night with.
That's a great point right there. We want you guys to join the conversation really quickly. How different would this season look if the Patriots turned to Bailey Zappi sooner? In the playoff hunt, 1 or 2 more wins or no difference at all? Vote in our poll by going to NBCSportsBoston.com/Patriots to vote, or you can scan the QR code on the screen and scroll down to poll. Matt, do you think this season would have looked any differently with Bailey Zappi, or if they handed the reins over to Bailey Zappi sooner than letting Mac Jones and the season play out where they were 2-10 coming into this game?
You know, it's hard to tell. I think that they would have probably benefited from turning the reins over to Bailey Zappi earlier. And the reason I say that is because they've been playing that musical chair with Mac Jones and Bailey, and Mac Jones being benched 4 times this season. It finally got to the point where nobody knew who was starting. There was hesitation from Mac Jones. He's looking over his shoulder every time he's playing, where at some point you make the decision and you stick with it. And I know what they were trying to do. They're trying to give a guy who they thought at one point was going to be their franchise quarterback an opportunity to continue to improve, to show improvement, to show growth, but that never happened. However, at some point, you've got to make that tough decision and turn over the reins like they did this last game or these last 2 games and see if Bailey Zappi and the growth that he might have, the maturation that he might have just being out on the field, playing, if that could have really resulted in more wins this season. That's always going to be a discussion that is going to be open throughout the rest of this year.
Yeah, it's going to be what everybody's going to be talking about tomorrow in Sports Talk. You know, is like, where would this team be if Bailey Zappi was starting more games? Look, I kind of fall in the category where the 23% is, or where that 1 or 2 more wins. I really think, you know, look, you maybe make a change after the Las Vegas game, and so, you know, there's about 4 games that, you know, kind of followed from that where you could say, hey, if Bailey Zappi was out there, you know, do you win maybe, you know, 2 out of those 4? Maybe. Maybe. And I think, you know, maybe you lose this game if Mac Jones is your quarterback tonight. And so I think Bailey Zappi is probably good for 2 or 3 more wins than what they've got to this point. Does that?
I thought you meant down the stretch.
No, not down the stretch. I'm just saying this season. I mean, this could have been their, like, say, their 5th win of the season as opposed to their 3rd win, or their 6th win of the season as opposed to their 5th win. So, as 3rd one. So my point is, I think he could have been a little bit better for this team if he was put out there games ago, 4 games ago,
Here's
when a lot of people
interesting.
thought he was going to go in.
So check this out. The 4 games ago was Buffalo, basically. So they lost to Dallas 38-3, New Orleans 34-0. I said he's a puddle right now. He's just a puddle with a pair of lips and a mouth guard and a helmet on top of it out there. Get him out. Give him a week off. They rolled him out there again. They lose to the Raiders. But the next week, they beat Buffalo 29-25.
All right,
and
after
we all
the Buffalo game.
Oh, there he is. There he is. There he is.
Yeah.
So Mac muddied the waters by playing like a human in week 8. So that's what really made this difficult. It was you can't give him the big hook and get him off stage after the 29-25 win, because you're like, okay, well, this is what he's supposed to look like. But we didn't know that was a cameo, and he would return to puddledom.
Yeah, there were 2 things I found interesting watching this game. One, we didn't see any shots of Mac Jones on the sideline with a young quarterback like Bailey Zappi out there. They're obviously both in the quarterback room, so I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, why Mac Jones wouldn't be on the sideline talking to Bailey Zappi. But then also, I don't know if anybody else saw this, but Bill Belichick speaking to Bailey Zappi on the sideline, you know, while he's coming off of the field on offense. I did not see that when Mac Jones was the starter. And I don't want to make it about the relationship between Mac Jones and Bill Belichick, but Ted, you know, as a former player, when you see that, what does, you know, those type of actions, what does it tell you about what's happening, or what type of player you're looking at on the field in Bailey Zappi?
Amina, you know your football, right? And so you and I were watching this when we saw this interaction on the sideline. We both said something to each other as if, oh, wow, we hadn't seen that before. And so it became obvious to us, Tom and Matt, you know, when you see Belichick as animated as he was, engaged as he was, in Bailey Zappi in that picture, and no Mac Jones around, it leads you to believe, you know, that obviously that's his guy, and that he's supporting Bailey Zappi, and clearly is more engaged with his coaching when it comes to that player as opposed to Mac Jones.
I think, Matt, I would use the word more invested. Felt like those clips right there, he felt more invested in the product of the offense with Bailey Zappi, and not that he was completely checked out and had cashed out on the offense. Well, maybe a little bit.
A little bit.
But it was more embraceable, Matt.
Right. Well, when I went in and I played for Tom Brady that year in 2008, and I was a backup quarterback coming into that situation, he would constantly come over and remind me about situation, talk about, hey, end of the half, or if we get the ball back, we might be doing this. So he was definitely engaged in that conversation, probably because he wanted to make sure that we understood, or I understood personally, what the situation entailed, what we were trying to do. And those conversations obviously take place from coach to quarterback coach all the time. But Bill would constantly come over, whether it was myself or even when Tom was there, to go through and review certain situations. I don't know when that conversation took place, but there's definitely something to be said about Bill's always trying to make sure that, especially for a younger quarterback that maybe doesn't have all the same game experience, to come over and reassure him what we're going through, what we're about to attack, or what the situation might be in the game.
Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting detail, just watching Bill Belichick on the sideline, and also the emotion he showed in this game as well, with them coming into this matchup 2-10.